Hello, I'm Salim Abraham, you're watching Infofeed. The script is written, the actors are different. The year is 2026, but the tragedy is a haunting rerun. At the Daulatdia ferry terminal in Bangladesh, the air should have been filled with the remnants of Eid al-Fitr celebrations, the smell of home-cooked meals, the chatter of families returning to the capital, Dhaka. Instead, it was filled with screams, the roar of the Padma River, and the sickening sound of metal sliding against a wet ferry ramp. At least 18 people are dead, many of them women and children, after a bus belonging to Sauhardya Paribahan plunged into a water. As the vehicle settled into the slit, 80 feet below the surface, it took with it the lives of those who couldn't break through the windows in time. This is not just an accident. It's a chronic symptom of a geography that remains untamed and a transport system that remains unregulated. To understand why this happened, you have to understand Padma. This is not just a river, it's a shifting, churning monster. It's the main distributor of the Ganges, and at the Daulatdia Pattaya crossing, it becomes a bottleneck for an entire nation. For decades, this crossing has been known as the gateway to the south. It connects 21 districts to Dhaka. Before the Padma Bridge was inaugurated in 2022, every single piece of cargo and every human soul traveling from the south had to risk these ferries. The geography here is treacherous. The river eats its own banks. This means ferry ghats or terminals are rarely permanent concrete structures. They are temporarily shifting pontoons tethered to muddy slopes. The currents at Daulatdia are notoriously strong. When a bus sits on a ferry ramp during a storm, it's not just sitting on a road. It's sitting on a vibrating, floating piece of metal being shoved by millions of tons of water. Bangladesh history is written in the slit of its riverbeds. The casualty list from its waterways is no longer than those of many wars. The 1980s, the era of overloading. In 1986, the MV Shamina went down. The official death toll was 600, but locals say it was closer to 1,000. Why? Because there was no manifest. No one knew who was on board. The 2000s, the structure failure. In 2003, the MV Nasrini 1 capsized near Chandpur. More than 100 people were rescued, but 400 drowned. The cause? Structural defects, and again, massive overloading. The 2014 mystery. The Penang 6 sank at the very crossing we are discussing today. Despite a massive search operation, the vessel was never found. Padma simply swallowed it whole. Yesterday's bus plunge followed this exact pattern. The Sauhardya Paribahan bus was a part of the Eid rush, that frantic week-long window where safety is traded for speed and maintenance is ignored for profit. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Bangladesh has changed, but its intermodal risks have not. The government recently built the Padma Bridge, a $3.6 billion engineering marvel. It was supposed to make these ferry days a thing of history, and for millions it has. But the bridge didn't make the ferries disappear. Regional logistics and the sheer volume of traffic means that the Daulatdia terminal remains a critical and deadly node. While the bridge is a symbol of a smart Bangladesh, the ferry ramps at the Daulatdia remain stuck in the 1970s. They are slippery, steep, and lack the basic safety barriers that would prevent a bus with failing brakes from sliding into a watery grave. What happened on Wednesday night was a holiday tax. Every year, Bangladesh paid with their lives. The rescue vessel Hamza eventually pulled the bus out. It was a macabre sight. A mangled metal shell containing 16 bodies that couldn't escape the submerged cabin. Among the dead were 10 women and 2 children, the most vulnerable passengers, often seated in the middle of the bus, furthest from the exits. The survivors? A mere handful who managed to smash windows or were lucky enough to be near the window. They stood on the banks of the Padma, watching the bubbles rise where their families had just been. An investigation committee has been formed. The district commissioner has promised stern action. We have heard this script before. Until the transition point, the literal bridge between the road and the water is engineered with the same precision as the Padma Bridge itself. These accidents will continue to be scheduled, part of the Bangladesh calendar. The question is not why this happened, we know why. The question is, when will the cost of a human life finally outweigh the cost of a safety barrier? Facts inform, but stories transform.